What's up guys, I'm the Pandaman, and in today's video, I'm gonna share with you how men should diet and train to lose weight fast. First thing we need to get in our mind, guys, as men. Many of us, at one time or another, are slaves to our food. It's a mental game. One of the first things that I teach clients is that food is a drug. Now think about how you would deal with any other drug. If you're an addict, if you're an alcoholic, drug addict, whatever the vice is, you would realize that it's all out spiritual war against that thing. If you look at alcoholics, AA is based in faith. That's the only way most of them ever get out of that cycle, because the drug equates to demonic possession. If you think about the Bible, food is the devil's #1 physical weapon. When you look at the original sin, the Garden of Eden, it was an apple. You look at Jesus fasting for 40 days alone in the desert. The devil kept trying to tempt him with food. Food seems harmless, and it can be. But these voices, when you decide that you're going to transform your body, these voices will get loud, and they will come at you. Oh, you can't fast today. Oh, you can't stick with your diet. Next time. I'm stressed. I need to eat. The devil's greatest weapon when it comes to your psychology and your spirit is the wedge of doubt. Placing the seed of doubt in your head that you cannot transform your body. It's too difficult. You don't have enough time. Step #1 is you have to recognize food as a drug. This will be a game changer for you. This will transform anything. And on that same line, when it's time to eat, we need to give thanks and we need to be grateful for that meal. The Bible speaks about this as well. Fasting is such a powerful tool, and I'm going to go over that more in a few minutes for you guys. It's referenced throughout when you pray and when you fast, not if. Fasting is the greatest weapon that we have against these voices, this dark side. And at the same time, fasting is the greatest mechanism and principle of eating to transform your body and lose fat very quickly and be able to maintain that shape that you get in. Whereas if you're on a regular diet, what's going to happen? You break, you get too hungry, boom, you wind up blowing up bigger than when you even began. So that's step #1. Recognize food as a drug. Step #2, guys, is fasting. What else did you think I was going to say? Now, fasting works. I get probably 10 to 15 messages a week from people all over the world, men in particular, that give me thanks because I opened their eyes to this way of eating. And they've tried everything and nothing else has worked. They failed over and over. They just can never seem to get it right. And I was the same way. Even when I was doing like your 16-hour fast, it wasn't long enough. I started piecing all this together. Why is fasting so effective? Because it's going to go to work on a hormonal system. And we're talking about the physical body. You're controlling insulin. Insulin is one of the 3 master hormones. It is a trickle-down effect to everything else in the body. But it's the only hormone that we're really in control of, which is pretty cool. Insulin's released largely when we eat. Have you ever eaten something by accident? Really think about that. It's not meant to be silly. It's meant to bring self-awareness to the process. Now, fasting, the way I teach with the panda diet, part of the black or white symbology of the panda is the yin-yang, the mindfulness approach to when you eat. Are you eating in a state of stress? Are you eating on the run? Are you eating mindlessly? Now with the longer form fasting, once you start making 1 meal a day the norm, and then you start throwing in 1 or 2, depending on your goal, weekly longer fast, the body fat will start to melt off of you. I've seen this hundreds and hundreds of times with personal clients over the past 4 years that I've been teaching what I experimented with 5 years ago in the panda diet. The great thing about it, you start to master your inner dialogue. Fasting is really one of the greatest self-development tools that there are. So what I recommend that you do, hop on something like the black version of my panda diet. It's a 48-hour fast to begin the week, followed by 1 meal a day. You could have an off day in there if you'd like, but the main thing is get your fasting length down first. Now a question I get a lot is, how do I break the fast? Well, let me tell you a few things. First, when you start the longer fasting, when you break, you might have to run to the bathroom right away. Totally fine. There's a lot of healing that has to go on in your gut. Those type of symptoms go away over time. But as far as breaking it, we could look at bone broth, cucumbers with salt, pure cranberry juice, 4 ounces for the iodine. And then I go into fruit. That's a staple of what I teach. Fruit first in the lineup. Need to put fruit in for multiple reasons. And a lot of times when people are not gaining traction or they're slipping up with what I coach them on, it's because they decide, I can't have the fruit. It's too much sugar. Get rid of that line of thinking. Almost everything that we've been told and taught about nutrition is wrong. And the worst of the worst, for the most part, is your nutritionists and dietitians. They're the most indoctrinated. They don't realize that what they've been taught comes directly from the pharmaceutical industry and the studies that they put out. It's not designed for health, right? I have a guy at the gym, one of our gyms. I have 2 gyms here in New Jersey. My buddy Jay, he says to me last week, he's like, I'm studying all these guys, Gary Brecka, and he lists a few guys. Now, all you guys are trying to figure out the body, but he goes, I really think you're onto something. I said, I know I'm onto something. So fasting, start with the black version. And next, let's talk about your training and the role that plays in getting you lean. When it comes to training for fat loss, a lot of big misconceptions out there. It is not about burning calories. Just like in the gym, you don't focus on how much muscle you put on during a workout. You don't put any muscle on during a workout. It's after the fact. Fat loss is indirectly tied to exercise, but it's not because of the caloric burn. Now, if we can get you in a couple metabolic states or enhance the metabolic state in a couple of ways, then that's going to tie in beautifully with your fasting, where your body will start to transform. You'll start getting this V taper, right, that most men desire to have, that look of power, right? We want to build up the traps, want to have good forearms, right? People are always going to see this stuff. You want to have the look of power as a man. One thing with training, if you're going to train with the weights, I always believed in strength and conditioning. It is not do a set and sit around. It's not just strength training, strength and conditioning. And the guys that taught me growing up, I've been fortunate to have some of the best coaches in the world and best mentors in the world in this field. I really learned the concept of training head to toe, working with NFL and collegiate football players, seeing how my mentors would train them, applying that to my own life. How do you combine that with bodybuilding? Right, so all this stuff was thought of, but head to toe training. So when you're training, you want to be in oxygen debt. If you can have a conversation, you should have already started the next set, head to toe. We want that heart pumping, peripheral heart action strength training, heart pumping blood head to toe. That's really what we're after. Now, when you do that, if we're looking at weight loss with exercise, you're going to have this oxygen debt that's built up. Got this ant on my leg that won't stop bothering me. You're going to have this oxygen debt built up. Now, when that's elevated, your metabolic rate is going to be humming at a higher rate for 24 to 48 hours after the fact. Okay, so get that out of the way. Now, exercise, the main thing we want to use it for is either to put on muscle, to help us feel better mentally. That's going to drive better habits besides the exercise, right? It's 2 wheels of the bike. You're fasting and you're training. And we want to get you more insulin sensitive. That could be done through walking. When I had one of my coaching calls before, the steps right there, guess what? I already worked out this morning, but I walk up and down those when I'm on the coaching call. Constantly moving. The more insulin sensitive you are, the leaner you're going to be. And it's also going to be easier to pack on muscle the more insulin sensitive you are. That means through the fasting and the training and the quality sleep, we start to heal the insulin resistance. Okay, your body's resisting the effects of insulin because you've been eating too often, you're overweight, you're stressed, you're not sleeping enough. We start to heal that. And you could totally reverse that, right? The more insulin resistant you are, the closer you are to being diabetic. We could totally reverse that and go the other way. Start getting you more insulin sensitive. Now, when that happens, something called calorie partitioning, nutrient partitioning occurs. Now, that would be, we got the chickens out over there too. Look at that. Free range. That would be the calorie partitioning. What signal, when the food comes in, is it getting? Where should it go? To the fat cell or to the muscle cell? The more insulin sensitive we get, the more likely it's to go to the muscle cell and not the fat cell. So you start tying all this together, right? It's a way of living. Daily movement of some sort, even if it's walking. You can do a brisk walk after you eat, which will give you a greater response as far as beneficial response with your insulin. But you utilize this stuff. You just start moving and say, okay, why am I going to park right there when I can park over there and walk a little further? When I'm at the airport, I look, okay, everybody's taking the escalator, I'm going to walk the steps. I've been sitting, I want to move as much as I can. So it's just the way you start training. And when you fast, it kind of unleashes this within your mind. But that's what you want to think of as far as training. Get a program that you like. Get something that is really going to pique your interest. and keep you mentally engaged, something you look forward to, have some type of vision, realize exercise is the greatest drug in the world. When you put these things together, you're going to be able to lose fat quickly while putting on muscle at the same time. Hey guys, I hope you're liking today's video. In the pinned comments, click on the free resource I have for a free workout for you that I custom put together for private clients. It is awesome. It's sick. Just click on the link, download it, and it's yours. And while you're here, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and notifications so you don't miss any videos that I'm putting out.